Grace and peace be multiplied unto you. Thank you so much for being a part of this, another Walking Through the Word Bible class. I appreciate those of you who are gathered in person on tonight, and then, of course, those of you who are watching the virtual experience. Thank you so much for being with us on this Wednesday evening. We certainly appreciate your presence and certainly appreciate you being with us on this evening. Thank you to our intercessors. God bless you. God bless. Come on, let's thank God for Sister Butler who's in this room. My God, through surgery and oh my God, and victory. God bless you. I had to look twice. It is good to see you. Prayer is still yet working. Thank God for your recovery and your healing and what he's doing in your life, Sister Butler. We certainly are grateful to what God is doing on your behalf. And so I want tonight, people of God, if you would, with me tonight, Mark chapter 5 is where I want to study with you tonight. Mark chapter 5 is where I want to study with you tonight. Mark chapter 5. I want us to look together at Mark chapter 5 as Jesus himself was coming over to the other side in the country of Gadarenes, just coming off and getting to Gadarenes. Come out of the ship, and this guy meets him in Mark chapter 5, coming out of the tombs, all right? And I want you to note that he was coming out of the tombs, in other words, in modern day cemetery. You with me? He meets this guy. And I want to, if you would tonight, just kind of engage me as I put this guy under our careful lens, not to judge him, all right? Because again, we are free from judgment and we are, again, strategic about understanding the impact to make on the lives of people. But I think this is so relevant in this modern day era and time. But this guy comes out of the tombs. Jesus crosses over to Gadarenes, and then this guy comes out of the tomb. In other words, he was really habitating or living or hanging out in the cemetery, right? And if that doesn't alarm you, or if that doesn't make you say, what's going on with him, right? He is literally coming out of the tombs. This guy in Mark chapter 5, are you listening to me? His hangout spot is not a coffee shop, a restaurant, a sports bar, a bingo hall, right? He's in the cemetery. Mark chapter 5. Says Johnson, he's not at a basketball court, he's not at a gym. Jeff, he's not at a stadium football game. He's at, says Avant, he's coming out of cemetery. When Jesus comes over to the other side, he meets a guy who's been hanging out since Patterson at the cemetery. What? What an interesting right, what an interesting piece for us to look at in a Bible class setting. Because if you were to just, in your own mind, nobody has to know, just moment of reflection, self-reflection, just you and God in your own mind. You've had moments in your life, consider this, or have you had moments in your life Don't answer me. You ain't got to say amen. I just want you to think about it. That you've had moments in your life where you didn't want to be around nobody. I said, no. Oh, hard-headed church. Don't answer. Keep it to yourself. Just kind of sigh, right? Or just, whew, right? No, I'm serious. That people who are alive have gotten on your nerves so bad, right? Living people. Living people have bothered you so much, Jeff, that you're going to go hang out where ain't no life. You got me? That's where you end up. And not all of us, I would suggest perhaps there's some people who've experienced moments where you didn't want to be around nobody, talk to nobody. You didn't feel like being bothered with anybody. You just wanted to be by yourself. Right? And I think moments of isolation where you are reflecting on your life is good. Don't get me wrong. I believe those moments are good. But there's also some danger depending on the motivation that drives your isolation. You got me? If you're having a moment of prayer, you're fasting, you're stealing away to be in the face of God, then guess what? I'm good. That's good. But if you're at a place where you're disgusted, you're depressed, stressed out, exhausted, mentally drained, and your faculties are not where they're needing to be, and you don't know where to go, and you make a decision, well, I'm going to just go to the cemetery. I'm concerned. I'm not judging you, right? We're free from judgment. But I am concerned. And perhaps some others were concerned. He was dwelling among, and I'm just going through here because I want to lift just one verse tonight. He was dwelling among the tombs, and no man, look at this, could bind him, no, not with chains. Watch him. Watch him. Look at him with me tonight. That he was already in a place mentally where he didn't want to be around the living, right? There were some people, obviously, who knew where he was, who arrived at his location to bind him in chains. People of God, he's already bound based upon where he is. There is already indication that he's already in bondage. And their resolve, or how they're going to help him, is that they're going to come in and externally do to him what has already internally happened. Listen to me. Listen to me. How they plan to help him, here's their remedy, Jeff, is that they're going to, Sister Ava, externally do to him what is internally already happening. They're going to bind him in chains and fetters, and he's already in bondage internally. Already. He's already in bondage, and so their response to him being in bondage is to bind him. What? What? Because when you run into individuals who cannot relate to where you are, they will never be able to give you relief. Are you with me tonight? You have to be so careful when you run into people on this journey. Well, because, Sister Johnson, they can't relate, they also don't know how to give you relief. And if you're not careful, they'll harm you more than they'll help you. What he needs is internal relief. He needs it. But these individuals feel like he needs to be externally bound. In other words, if we stop him from moving, we can help him. If we limit where he goes, we can help him. No, you can't. Because my struggle is not about my location. My struggle is from the inside out. And there's some stuff happening internally. I don't care what you do to me externally, it's not going to change. Proof is in the text. Proof is in the text. Because that he had been often bound with feathers and chains, and the chains in verse number 4 had been plucked asunder. The chains couldn't hold him. He would pluck the chains off. You just gave him more energy to fight because of your remedy. And when the remedy doesn't work, rejection shows up to work against the remedy that doesn't work. He breaks it. Why? He rejects it because that's not what he needs. Why is this significant in modern day? Check it out. Because we've been talking about this attitude of growth, this attitude of making an impact, right? But if we're going to do that, you better listen to me. If we're going to do that, we have to have the right remedies. That's why I'm trying to hang out tonight. We have to have the right remedies. Because if we don't, people will always reject what we give them because it doesn't answer or solve their internal struggle. And so I don't care how many suits you give me. I don't care. So say that, how many suits you give me, how many haircuts, Sister Butler, you tell me I need to have. If I'm still struggling on the inside, I'll reject the very thing that you're trying to use to cover up what I'm dealing with. And a lot of times what the church does, and instead of us dealing with the root, we deal with the surface, and so we cover everything up. And therefore, people never get any help. Why? Because we become a place of cover-up. And people are fighting for their lives on the inside, but because we won't tell them the truth about that, and we just tell them that they need something, but we don't tell them what they need. In other words, we tell them to come to church, but we don't tell them what they're going to get or what they should be looking for when they come. So they reject the notion that church is helpful. And so therefore now we're just having church, but we're not having remedy with church. And so while people are at church, their minds are still at the tomb. Good God Almighty. And so we have to ask ourselves, do we have the tomb remedy? Where we can go to the tomb and give people what they need and not bound people further because we're looking at what they're doing externally. Watch it. Watch it. Broken into pieces, verse number 4, just perusing it with me. Asunder about him in fetters, broken into pieces, neither could any man, watch this, tame him. Couldn't no one tame him, get him to a place where he felt like he was worth something. And perhaps the external behavior that we see happening with self-destruction of humanity are individuals who are now feeling worthless, feeling like there is no hope. And even though I come to church, and even though I sit on Wednesday night, and even though I come on Sunday morning, if I'm feeling hopeless and worthless, I reject anything that you try to offer me, because you haven't made me feel like there's hope and I've got some worth. I'm doing it. I'm trying. Nor there could any man tame him. Verse number 5 is what I want to highlight for the moment of teaching. I just wanted to travel through that, but verse number 5, I want to highlight. Let's watch him. Let's watch what he's doing. And always, the text says in verse number 5, you got your Bibles open? Night and day, he was in the what? He was in the mountains. Obviously, people knew where he was, right? We have to conclude that because they tried to do what? They tried to tame him. Talk back to me. It's Bible class. What they tried to do, which suggests that they knew where he was. And even though they were trying to come where he was, they only wanted to control his movement and his actions. But they didn't understand that his movements and his actions was not based upon what they can see, but based upon what he was dealing with on the inside. Perhaps we've been prescribing it to the wrong place. Perhaps we spent so much time on the external dwellings of ministry and church that we have not impacted people internally. Perhaps we've been so caught up with what the next music selection was going to be that we forgot that the musical selection needs to be something that impacts not a good sound, but that impacts me internally. Some words that I can relate to and try to get some relief from. Perhaps we've been spending too much time on the external measures of how well the building looks, how clean it is, and I think those things are important. But even if you have all of that, and when I come here, I still leave the same way. I came out of ritual and I didn't get my remedy. Has 21st century Christendom shifted to a mindset or an attitude, let's just gather, let's come together. Let's go through the motions. We know how to do church. We know how to do it, but people leave the same way. And when they leave, watch this, they go back to the tomb. They go back to the tomb. And they're reminded of the stuff that they broke away from externally, because the fetters and all of those things are still hanging out in the tomb. So I constantly see what couldn't hold me. I constantly see what couldn't tame me. But my real issue is I need a remedy for not what's happening externally, but I need a remedy for what's happening internally. If the church doesn't make the transition to solve the problem of internal struggles from the human race, we will forever be stagnant in our impact or in our efforts to grow as a ministry. There has to be a transition where we're not appealing to people's external pieces. You need some stuff that's going to work, Kim, when cancer shows up. Yeah. Because I don't care how much you tell me that I'm going to come through, it's going to be all right. If that thing is not rooted and grounded on the inside of me, that I know God is going to bring me through, then it becomes a formality. When money is down to zero and you can't see it, it's one thing to come to church and shout. I need to know, when Does Jehovah Jireh show up? Where is he? How do I find him? Is there hope? Is he available? Because I need some help, not externally. I need some. And always night and day, he was in the mountains and in the tombs. Watch him. Watch him. Here is how I know while he's hanging out with dead people, he's still alive. Here is how I know that he's in contact with what he's dealing with internally. Because he's truthful about his emotion. Crying represents that there is something that's triggering the cry. We cry when stuff go good. We cry sometimes when stuff go bad. We cry when we're excited. We cry when we're upset. But nevertheless, it's still a cry. And the cry is the alarm that I know what I'm feeling. Somebody holler, he's still alive. He's crying, which suggests, Jeff, that he's in tune with where he is internally. Everybody else was in tune with where he was externally, which is why they tried to tame him when they missed that he was crying. And just because I'm crying doesn't mean that I need you to try to control my cry. What I need you to do is figure out what is causing the cry. Watch him. I know the cry wasn't a cry of happiness based upon what he does while he's crying. Watch the text. I try to be a Bible preacher. Watch what he does while he's crying. His crying has him at a point where his self-worth has been minimized. His crying suggests that self-preservation has left the building. His crying suggests that self-preservation has left the building. Says Ruby, I know you're not my nurse, but who's this? Right? Is that Sister Ruby? Would you give me a towel out of the? I know you're not my nurse. Right up under there. I don't know. Thank you. She like, really, Pastor? Thank you. Yes, ma'am. There you go. Thank you. I'm up here sweating. I'm gonna cry. Don't stop sweating. Thank you. Thank you. And so, look at what he does. People of God. While he's crying, because all this stuff is happening simultaneously, according to how Mark writes it. He's crying and what? Cutting. You got me? He's crying and he's what? He's crying and he's what? Which suggests self-preservation has gone. His cry is that I don't know how to take care of myself. If the church, you better mark this tonight, if the church arrives to its place where we're spiritual and wise enough that we understand that there's some people who don't know how to take care of themselves, and our responsibility is to show them how. Somebody holler, that's a remedy. Instead of us saying he's crazy, what he got his butt out there for anyway? He done lost his mind, young, out there in the tombs and the mountains, crying, cutting on himself. What is wrong with him? He doesn't know how to take care of himself. Is it possible, people of God, that the church exists so we can teach other people, even if you don't know how to take care of yourself, if you show up here long enough, we can show you. What if I showed up here, Jeff, and I don't know how to take care of me? What you gonna do? Tell me, man, you need to get yourself together. What if I don't know how? You need to stop talking like that. What if I don't know how? You need to stop doing that. what if I don't know? Parents have responsibility to teach their kids know-how. Have the responsibility. All the stuff that our children don't know how to do, we cannot complain when we never taught them. When people come to church, if we don't teach them, how can we complain about what we never taught them? Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh. We fuss about it. But did we teach them? Did we teach him? What if he doesn't know how to stop cutting himself with stones? I know he's looking for a remedy. Here's how I know. Watch him, watch him, watch him, and I'm out of here. My time is up. I'm out of here. Is that right? Yeah, my time is almost up, I think. Yeah, Look at this. Watch what he does. Watch what he does. Watch what he does. In verse number 6, I need you to watch him in 6. Watch him in verse 6. Because if you sing Johnson, well, what's the remedy? We got the remedy. We got to introduce people to make sure he's always on the scene so people can get what they need. They brought fetters and chains when really what he needed was the remedy. I find it in verse number 6. Can I read it for you? But when he saw Jesus, somebody say he can cry and see. I need you to say it. He can cry and he can see. Yep, because when he saw Jesus afar off, he ran and he can run. Look at how healthy he is externally. Look how healthy this man is externally. What would happen if we can get our men and our women healthy on the inside? Ain't no telling what they can do and how they can bless the church, because we get them together on the inside. They already got the external stuff. We got to get the internal stuff working. He saw Jesus afar off. He ran. And he did what? What did he do? What did he do? What did he do? We've got to promote the greatest remedy in the world we have. We got to tell people there's something true when you learn how to worship him, be in his presence. It'll give you everything that you. Somebody holler, we got a major remedy. He worshiped him. People of God, the impact that we make on lives, I don't care how many conversations we have, I don't care how many meetings we have, if we don't have Jesus on the scene, people will leave here going back to the tombs. When they come to 1601, you got to guarantee them, I promise you one thing, is that you're going to have an encounter. If you make yourself open, if you make yourself available, you're going to have an encounter with him. Sometimes that encounter can come as a result of somebody else sharing how he encountered them. What shall we do? Do we have the answer? Do we have the remedy? The answer is yes. But we've got to understand that people's external behavior is more often than likely promoted or motivated by their internal dwelling. And if we don't answer the inside, we'll keep going through the motion of trying to dress up the outside. And we'll have a church that looks good, but then the people are not doing good. Who wants to be in an environment where it looks good, but then you look around and people are not doing good? It's a challenge for us. It's a clarion call. It's my word for you tonight. Come on, give God some praise in this place. God bless you. God keep you. We're right on schedule. Sister Johnson's got about 13 seconds to finish the announcements. Listen, we're needing to, you remember, Saturday is our prayer breakfast, right? Saturday is the prayer breakfast. We're selling tickets and trying to get things accomplished, and with everything there is budget and cost. I need you to buy some tickets. Buy a ticket, volunteer, get a ticket. Find out from Sister Ellaby, one of the mission members, say, do y'all need anything? Are y'all lacking some grits or some oil? Y'all need a couple eggs, or y'all need some milk? Ask them, let's make it go. It has been challenging. I will share with you, it's been challenging for us over the last couple of months financially. You can look around just at attendance alone, and you can start measuring what that looks like. And so it's been challenging for us, and so we don't really have a bunch of money so we can just pull something off, and so it's going to take our help. So I need you to sacrifice and push with me to make that happen on this Saturday. Get tickets, invite somebody, buy a ticket from somebody, and let's do it that way. That's all I'm going to say about it. I love you. God bless you, and thank you for allowing me to continue to serve as your leader.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Johnson, for that amazing word on tonight. We certainly appreciate you. Please join us for in-person intercessory prayer and Bible class on next Wednesday. Prayer will begin at 6:30 p.m. and Bible class at 7 o'clock p.m. We will love to see you there. The Mount Calvary Youth Ministry will host our second September Sunday dinner fundraisers. Please support our youth. Pick up a menu and place your order for a different meal each Sunday. The meals are $12 each, and you can pre-order your meal. You can stop by the fellowship hall to pick up those meals. You can see any member of the youth ministry to pick up a menu. Our menus are out in the foyer. The Mission Ministry will host a prayer brunch on this Saturday, September the 17th, from 10 o'clock a.m. to 12 o'clock noon here at Mount Calvary. The newly elected pastor, Raphael Darden of Pleasant Grove Church, St. Louis, Missouri, along with myself, will be the guest speakers. The tickets are $12 per person, and as Pastor Johnson said, please, please, please purchase a ticket, or just purchase a ticket for someone who can be in the building to help make the Mission Ministry go on this Saturday. The youth ministry presents a Prince and Princess of the Hill event on Saturday, October the 9th, here at the church. We will recognize newborn to 4 years old. To sign your child or family member or friend up, please pick up a packet in the foyer immediately following any of our worship services. All packets are due by 10 o'clock a.m. on October the 9th. If you would like to post a picture of your child on the screen in the foyer, please see Sister Sharika Bowery. We are encouraging you, Mount Calvary, to support the families during this fundraiser. To order Pastor Johnson's first book project, Looking Within, please go to lakivcjohnson.com, amazon.com, kobo.com, Barnes & Noble, or you can see me immediately following any of our worship services. These are your weekly announcements. Please govern yourselves accordingly and have an amazing Wednesday. God bless you all.